Okay, I think we'll stay in the Western Europe. And apparently not. The war is over. Here's your final score. Campaign score 60. Yeah, we fought 26 battles. We didn't lose any of them. A few were on the borderline, where if things would have gone a little bit different, we would have taken losses. Overall, we did just fine. And that's it. Um, the Steel Panthers games, because there are multiple games, multiple versions, one or two. Probably there's one version you can download for free. I think it's the makers of the game allow you to download it for free. In that sense, you can't buy it. Just get it for free. And this is one of the better strategy games I've ever played, and it still is today. The one downside of it is it really has no story or plot arcs. The only ones are the scenarios, and these will be individual battles of interest in the World War II. Out of interest, I'll just take. Do we have invasions? I'm just trying to see that. Yeah, a very different type of map to from what we have seen. Very probably hand-built scenarios. So if you want some kind of a story, there won't be an overarching story. Is the World War II? If you want some more of a story focus, you can play the scenarios, and there's probably closer to 60 of them. Japanese army tanks. Yep, very different. Maybe I'll do it someday. There's a lot of them. There's about what 20 on the Pacific and 22, so something like around 60, 62 scenarios. Maybe I'll play them through, but it's gonna. I'm not gonna do it now. There's a limit how much you can play one game, and maybe once a week or something like that you could play a single scenario and go through all the scenarios given enough time. I'm not gonna do the other campaigns. They're more focused, but they're still similar to the long campaign in that you have a core army and you buy each mission. You'll buy something specific to that mission. I don't think it's quite so random, but still, it's not as neatly built as these handmade scenarios. In the grand scheme of strategy games, this is the no heavy focus on the strategy tactics, and the detail is wonderful. You don't have just tanks and troops, and it's not sort of generalized on a high level. So you have different kinds of. You don't just have the airplanes and infantry and tanks, but they're detailed. The combat is detailed to a high degree, to armor values, specific armor values per unit, specific ammo types, ranges, impact, direction of attack, impacts, all kinds of different things impact. So it's heavily tactics based. But there is strategy, quite a bit of strategy involved. You can choose, but it's mainly on the how you build your core army, at least on the campaigns. Other than that, it's a tactical combat. A very good tactical combat, though. If the other extreme is some kind of story individual character focused gameplay, like, well, I'm not sure if it's a good example, but something like the Shining Force series, where you control individuals and you play a pretty typical fantasy storyline. This basically has none of the storyline. The overarching theme is World War II, and that's it. Either that's your thing or it's not. But if that's your thing, this is, as far as I'm played, this is the best one. Absolutely the best one. And although it lacks the fluff and story and all that kind of mm, atmosphere building that you might have, good music, battle music playing on the background, things like that. This is the other end, realism in that sense, but it's still extremely fun and enjoyable. If you have to go one way, I rather a strategy game err on this side than on the other side, because that usually means that you're just making a crappy strategy game, similar to Heroes of Might and Magic, the later versions of it. Ah, they're not terrible games, but they used to be much better strategy games than they have been in recent years. So from my perspective, the entire game series has gone down the drain. Uh, yeah, this is still definitely one of the better games in this genre. I've never seen this level of detail and accuracy. Well, I can't really vouch for the accuracy since I'm not that much of an expert in World War II, but the detail of the game system and the tactical combat it has, yeah, it's definitely one of the better ones. If, if you enjoyed strategy games because of the mechanics and the gameplay, this is definitely a high recommendation. If you sort of like the story and characters, I don't see this offering much for you. But for me, it's definitely one of the better strategy games ever made.